At the first breath of morning, Lauterbrunnen awakens as if suspended between two worlds, one that sleeps in the roots of the earth, another that shimmers in the pale sky. The valley exhales mist. It rises slowly, like an ancient thought, sliding along the sheer stone walls that guard millennia of silence. The sound of the waterfalls arrives before the light. It is a distant, resonant murmur that vibrates in the chest, as if the mountain itself carried a heart made of water. Little by little, the wooden houses emerge from the haze, their windows still opaque, reflecting the soft chill of dawn. A metallic bell rings somewhere far off, perhaps from a cow already crossing the damp field, perhaps from someone opening the door to yet another day. The air is fresh, almost untouched, and every step on the wet grass stirs a green scent that feels newly created. There is no rush. Time here moves like a deep river, slow and steady, guiding eyes and breaths. The entire valley seems to listen. It seems to wait. And we, newly arrived, feel something inside us soften too, as if life gained a simpler, truer shape just by being here in this first light.
Lauterbrunnen is a deep trove carved by ice. Thousands of years ago, a glacier opened this U-shaped corridor, so narrow and sheer it feels as though it were sculpted by patient hands. Walking through it is to feel the scale of nature stretch before your eyes. Rock walls rising almost perpendicular, shadowed in the morning, golden by dusk. It's like moving through an open temple, where each slope holds traces of ice that no longer exists, yet whose gesture remains. Between these walls, the 72 waterfalls descend with different temperaments. Some fall like thin veils, trembling with the wind that crosses the valley. Others plunge with liquid fury, making the earth vibrate. Together, they create an irregular symphony that follows each step, a mosaic of sounds shifting between whisper, crack, and thunder. The air's humidity changes as we approach each fall, at times fresh, at times cold, at times intense as improvised rain. And there is something in the verticality of this valley that awakens a feeling of welcome, paradoxical yet real, as if its grandeur didn't suppress but protect, as if the land, by opening itself so deeply, offered the traveler an embrace of stone and water.
The village of Lauterbrunnen rests at the heart of the valley like a small ship anchored between colossal mountains. Its streets are narrow and quiet, shaped more by time than by any human plan. The wooden houses, with sloped roofs and flowered balconies, seem carved to withstand winter and celebrate summer. Each facade holds silent stories: an old painting, a window draped with lace curtains, a bench worn smooth by generations of rest. Life here follows its own rhythm, almost circular. In the morning, locals ride by on bicycles, weaving around sleepy tourists trying to frame perfection in a photograph. The smell of fresh bread drifts along the main street, mingling with the damp scent of grass and the distant echo of waterfalls. In the small market, soft voices exchange greetings that feel like rituals. In the church, the bell marks the hours with a melancholy sweetness. Nothing is urgent. People walk slowly, as if they knew that too much haste would throw the valley off balance. Around the village, trails begin discreetly and open like stories awaiting footsteps. And anyone who arrives soon understands. Living here is to accept another cadence, one where the everyday blends with the sacred, and the simple becomes eternally enough. The Staubbachfall rises like a silver thread cast from the sky. With nearly 300 meters of drop, it doesn't fall, it floats. The wind scatters it into thousands of particles that resemble luminous dust. And perhaps for that reason, for centuries, it has been seen as a suspended miracle. Approaching it is to enter another kind of silence, a silence that lives inside the sound itself. Its soft, steady roar creates a sort of auditory embrace that accompanies anyone walking through the village from dawn to the last trace of light. For the residents, the Staubbach is not just a landscape. It is presence, memory, and companion. Children grow up hearing its whisper, adults synchronize their steps with its vibration, travelers carry its image like a kind of blessing. Some days the fall is thin, almost transparent, as if it evaporated before touching the ground. On others, it descends dense and powerful, draping anyone who comes near in unexpected rain. The entire valley seems to modulate itself to its rhythm. Conversations grow slightly louder, the air more humid, the gaze more contemplative. The Staubbach shapes the days like a continuous breath, reminding everyone that life, like water, is inevitable movement and light held in suspension.
Entering Trümmelbach is crossing an invisible threshold, from the surface into the unknown. Outside, the valley is wide and luminous. Inside, the mountain closes into damp, dark corridors carved by the brute force of water. There, 10 waterfalls run hidden, trapped in the mountain's core, driven by the meltwater of the high peaks, the Eiger, Monk, and Jungfrau. It is like hearing the earth's heart beating, a deep, relentless pulse that reverberates through the narrow walls. Light, filtered through small openings, arrives in fragments, casting quick flashes across the turbulent water. The air is cold, saturated with mineral mist. The ground vibrates underfoot as though the mountain were breathing. Each bend in the path reveals a new, thunderous roar, a torrent falling with ancient violence, slowly sculpting the rock year after year. Visitors walk slowly, almost in reverence, recognizing that nothing in there follows a human rhythm. Nature dictates the tempo, and its tempo is powerful, untamed. Stepping back out into the valley, the light feels clearer, the air more open. Trümmelbach reminds us that even what we cannot see shapes the world, and that every surface carries depths that never cease to move.
In the surroundings of Lauterbrunnen, daily life pulses in harmony with the elements. The small farms scattered across the valley wake early. Before the sun even warms the slopes, the smell of fresh hay already mingles with the lowing of cows and the metallic chime of the bells swaying gently as they walk. It is here that the Alpine cheese is made, a flavor shaped by its land. High pasture milk, wildflowers, cold wind, and artisanal patience. In some cabins, families preserve centuries-old traditions, working the milk with hands that seem to know each season by heart. Along the trails leading to Mürren or Wengen, travelers cross paths with locals who move with a mountain-born ease, as if each step were part of an ancient cycle. Goats and sheep pause to watch, motionless for a moment, before returning to graze. The sound of footsteps blends with birdsong and the constant murmur of the waterfalls, which never let the valley fall into complete silence. Alpine everyday life does not seek to impress. It simply exists, balanced between effort and calm. And anyone passing through understands that life can be simple without being small. One only needs to follow the rhythm of the earth, to feel time ripen in the very air.
For a child growing up in Lauterbrunnen, the valley is a vast backyard that changes shape with the seasons. In summer, the fields turn into realms of adventure. Tall grass becomes a hiding place. Icy streams provoke shy laughter when the water touches the skin. And every trail seems to lead to a secret only children know. The sound of the waterfalls accompanies their play like a constant song, almost a soundtrack to childhood. In winter, the landscape reinvents itself. Snow covers everything in a thick silence, and children discover a new world. Improvised sleds, snowmen with colorful scarves, and small tumbles that end in bursts of laughter.
The cold air reddens their cheeks and turns every breath into a cloud. The school, small and welcoming, mirrors the life of the valley. Windows framing giant mountains and recesses filled with the scent of warm wood. At home, stories passed down by grandparents speak of old winters, dangerous trails, storms, and generous summers. Growing up here is learning to listen to the natural world before anything else. It is being shaped by water, stone, and wind, and carrying forever the feeling that the planet is larger and more alive than it appears. In Lauterbrunnen, the seasons aren't merely shifts in weather. They're complete transformations of mood, color, and rhythm. Winter arrives with a silence that seems to carry weight. The mountains become white ramparts, and the valley feels even narrower under the bluish light of short days. The waterfalls partially freeze, forming translucent sculptures that look as though they're holding the air in place. Footsteps on snow sound muffled, as if time itself were walking more slowly. Then spring comes, and the thaw feels almost like a celebration. Water returns with force, running through every corner, renewing the green that bursts across the fields. Wildflowers sprout shyly, then abundantly, painting the valley in soft colors. Summer arrives full and steady, warm without excess, golden in the long afternoons when the sun grazes the cliffs and turns each waterfall into liquid sparks. Trails buzz with life, birds, insects, travelers, herders. The smell of damp earth mingles with that of alpine blooms. Autumn, at last, closes the cycle with a touch of nostalgia. Leaves burn in tones of rust and gold as the cold slowly returns. Here, time doesn't pass. It breathes, expands, withdraws, and it teaches that change is the most constant form of beauty.
In Lauterbrunnen, you only need to lift your gaze to feel the silent weight of three giants, Jungfrau, Monk, and Eiger. They form an almost mythical trio, glacier guardians watching over the valley since time immemorial. Their presence is not merely visual, it is emotional, almost spiritual. Locals often say that living here means learning to converse with the mountains, to understand their moods, to respect their limits. The Jungfrau, luminous and imposing, shines even on cloudy days, as though carrying its own inner light. The Monk, steady and balanced, seems always to mediate the dialogue between the raw force of the Eiger and the stillness of the Jungfrau. And the Eiger, as feared as it is admired, rises with its north face like a reminder of human courage and natural ferocity. Its wall of ice and shadow has tested climbers from all over the world. Some conquered it, others remain bound to the eternity of its rock. For those walking through the valley, seeing these peaks in the distance is to feel small in the best possible way. They anchor the horizon, shape the weather, influence every season. They are colossi that, paradoxically, offer refuge. And in observing them, we realize that true grandeur doesn't shout, it endures, serene, teaching simply by its presence.
At the end of the day, when the sun slips behind the valley slopes, Lauterbrunnen changes its voice. The light stretches, turning liquid, golden, reflecting on the stone walls like a final gesture of farewell. The waterfalls take on tones of copper and silver, and the cooler air carries a silence that feels newly born. Walking through the village at this hour is to feel time pause, not to stop, but to listen. The windows brighten one by one. Inside the houses, the smell of hot soup, the soft creak of wood, conversations settling into gentle murmurs. Outside, the Staubbachfall glows as if it breathed its own light,
scattering small reflections that dissolve in the wind. The mountains become giant shadows, immense silhouettes that guard the valley as night approaches. And there is a moment, almost imperceptible, when everything seems aligned. The falling water, the passing breeze, the fading light. It is as if Lauterbrunnen were telling us that beauty is not spectacle, it is presence, and that the true magic of places lies in what they leave within us, even when we are already far away. Thus ends the day in the Hidden Valley of Waterfalls. And in some way, another begins inside the one who lived it.